But here's something that we do every
forever.
single year, and let's break down some of the top prospects in the NFL draft. We have big draft specials each and every single year on this channel or on Twitch in general. So we like to make sure you guys know who's who and what to look out for each and every single time the draft rolls around, because honestly, it's one of the most exciting events of the year, especially in the NFL calendar, especially in the off season. We like to, talk a lot about what these players can bring to your team. So that being said, let's break down quarterbacks and edge rushers. We will start out with quarterbacks. We only have top 5 because after top 5, it gets a little.
You can just throw a grenade up and hope that one of these guys hits. Like, I don't know, the last guy that drafted, maybe.
I don't know if I want to nuke somebody.
Okay, it wasn't a nuke. It was just a grenade.
Derek, what's going on? Who do you think the Packers will go in the first round? I don't know. Let's see. Let me take a look real quick, because
now that Aaron Rodgers is leaving, they'll probably go wide receiver.
They're gonna go offense because why not?
No, I think they're going tight end from Notre Dame. That's what I'm hearing.
Mayer or whatever his name is.
Yep, that's what I'm hearing. That's what they want.
You mean that movie killer, Michael Meyer?
I don't hate a tight end, especially with a new quarterback that maybe wants to get the ball out a little quicker, a little underneath, getting an elite tight end. I don't hate that pick for the Packers. But if that's what people are hearing, that's probably not who they're taking. Also,
there's a lot of smoke and mirrors with what people say they're gonna do versus what they actually do, especially
unless you're the Steelers. Unless you're the Steelers, and there's no smoke screens.
They're just trying to take Porter's kid.
But to your question, Derek, I think now that Aaron Rodgers is on the way out, or so we think, you gotta support offensively your guys that are gonna be at the quarterback position. And
I just weirdly think this is a deep tight end draft. I wouldn't love taking a tight end.
There's 3 good tight ends.
Oh, I think
3 are going to go in the first round. I
think there's more.
We need to get the best.
Derek, they're going to need a tight end with Tanyan gone.
There's more than 3 good tight ends in this draft. This is maybe the best tight end draft I've ever seen.
Let's see.
As far as depth.
Smoke screen season is getting spooky. Yeah, it's getting a little spooky. APC, my new team is the Saints. He's jumping on the Saints bandwagon now.
Okay. Just loves himself some Carr.
Some Derek Carr. Is Derek Carr your new boy, APC? STG, how is Kyle Pitts doing?
He's thriving in Atlanta. Atlanta loves to spend a top 5 pick and then just totally remove that person from the game plan.
What are you doing? Let's start out with quarterbacks, though. We have off the top here, number 5. Hendon Hooker, Tennessee quarterbacks. So, Rec, your boy, is on the list here. Hendon Hooker making it. But, Scotty, obviously you're the guru when it comes to, everything and anything NFL draft. You kind of have a pulse on how good these guys are. What do you like about Hendon Hooker and what he brings to the NFL?
I mean, you could argue that Hendon Hooker, of the 5 quarterbacks we're going to talk about today, might be the most pro ready. But there's a reason for that, Chris. He's like 25 years old.
He's older than Pickett.
I was going to say, I give Rec shit because Pickett's old. And he's only 24, and Hendon Hooker is 25. And therein lies the problem. He's 25 years old. What's the upside here? Can he? To me, he's more of a solid number 2 backup for a roster. A really, really good backup, but not a starter. Because it's literally never worked out when you draft a quarterback that's at his age that late or that early on in the draft. It just never works out. No offense, Rec. I know your guy was younger, but
He's good.
Hendon Hooker had a phenomenal season at Tennessee last year. Put everything together, short, intermediate. Not much of a dual threat. He's not going to run the ball a ton, but he can extend plays a little bit. But he's mostly based off arm and reading the defense and delivering on that. Quick release, live arm. Love everything about that. He's really good on short to intermediate. Arm strength and deep ball could probably use some work. At 6'3", he's tall enough. It's not super tall, but certainly fine. Did have an ACL injury. That's the reason he's been in college this long, and he's 25 now. I think he's nice. I think he's a nice prospect. I think, he's a distant fifth behind these other ones. Outside of ESPN today, or former GM just released on, what's his name? Just released today a mock draft that had Hendon Hooker going number 5 overall in the draft.
Wow. Okay.
Also, I just want to let you know, he didn't just have it. It's not just that he had an ACL tear. He's recovering from an ACL tear. He's not playing a meaningful snap this year. He tore his ACL at the end of the season.
Oh, he played this season, and then
Yeah, he played the season, but with how late in the season his tear was, he's probably not playing a meaningful snap until 26.
I disagree. As a quarterback, as a quarterback, he could play this year. Maybe he's not ready to play in general, but as a quarterback, you can play. But you don't have to sit out a full even year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean he has some flashes, right? He completed 70% of his passes during his 2022 season, 3,135 yards, 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 430 yards, and 5 touchdowns on the ground. So I mean he's very good about getting production from, right? He's a good player. He played well against Florida, LSU, some big wins. He was phenomenal versus Alabama, leading them to a huge victory against Alabama. Like, there's a lot to like about him. But yeah, I think like the injury, is a cause for concern. The age is a cause for concern. When you're looking at the top quarterbacks that are above him here, I think there's a lot more upside when you're looking at some of the other guys ahead of him. So, there's still, some areas where he could be, effective. I just don't know if, he's going to be the guy for any one team. You have him graded out here to Desmond Ridder, Scotty. Desmond Ridder is still trying to find his way,
Well, I mean, he was a rookie last year.
He's a rookie last year. Yeah, exactly. So, he was behind what's his name? Mariota. So, I think that I could see Hooker being a easing into maybe a starting role with a certain team at some point, but I don't see him as being a everyday starter for. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Ty in the chat. Hendon Hooker is going higher than everyone thinks. GMs care more about mental makeup than abilities. Hence Tebow.
I think you need both, and I think Tebow was a bad first-round pick. So
yeah, and we'll have some more bad first-round picks in this.
I mean, there's a ton of bad
review.
first-round quarterback picks. Even for first-round quarterbacks hit at like less than 50%. Even if you're like top 10, like it doesn't matter. Like there's a lot of misses at quarterback, but you get drafted high because it's the most important position in team sports.
Yeah.
Next up, number 4. Oh wait, no, I'm going the wrong way.
I say what?
That's not 4.
Will Levis coming in, quarterback Kentucky, 6'4", 229, runs that 40 at 4.72. And you have a comp to Jay Cutler here.
I have Jay Cutler, and I've thought about it more, and I like it comp more. I like Carson Wentz.
Ooh, Carson Wentz.
Even more.
Okay.
He is Carson Wentz is like a perfect comp. Even when I was doing Jay Cutler, I didn't love the comp. I was trying to think of other guys, and Carson Wentz and Jay Cutler aren't even that I like. So it's like, what's going on? But here's a dude that has the athletic traits, like live arm, super toolsy, good height, muscular, strong, super strong arm. Didn't have a lot of great stats at Kentucky, but you could also like that could be like Josh Allen. Josh Allen at Wyoming didn't have great stats and played with inferior talent compared to who he was playing against. And I'm sure Will Levis is playing against in the SEC, like they're outmatched a lot of the time, right? At Kentucky. So I love a lot about it. Like there's so many traits to love about Will Levis. Just like you could love about Carson Wentz and why teams continue to trade for him for no reason at all.
Yeah.
What the problem is with Will Levis is a few things. Accuracy, number one. Accuracy is a huge issue. He's not overly accurate. He's gonna have to improve on that a ton. Turns the ball over too much, too many turnover worthy throws. And number one though, Chris, I don't know if you know about this, but this is super concerning to me. This dude likes to put mayonnaise in his coffee.
Oh no. No.
And that's a big
Bruh.
that's literally like an
No.
undraftable offense.
Don't draft him. Get him out of here. How is
Wait,
he?
Scotty. It's Scott. You're saying this is an undraftable offense, and your quarterback puts ketchup on steaks.
I would drown a steak in ketchup before I put mayonnaise in my coffee.
Oh my goodness.
There are many things wrong with
Mayonnaise
you.
and coffee? What are we?
Mayonnaise and coffee. The dude likes mayo and coffee. There's a clip on it.
What are we doing?
Check it out.
What are we doing?
Check it out.
It's not. I don't even know where to go with that.
Yeah. The fact that whoever drafts him, I mean, that's a character concern, Chris.
Yeah, no, that's something you ask about when you're in the combine and you're just like, what is this about? That's not allowed. No. We don't have.
But this dude could be, I mean, very well could be a top 10 pick in the draft. We rank him as the number 4 quarterback, and he's probably going to be the 4th quarterback off the board in the draft. But we're looking at a draft that could have the top, after 4 picks, we might have 3 quarterbacks gone.
Well, there's a lot of teams
Even
that need
after 3
quarterbacks in that top echelon of the draft right there. The top tier of the draft. Levis, yeah. I mean, I think, from this standpoint, he had a great showing at the combine. But you're right. He's prone to interceptions. He holds the ball way too long. He takes bad sacks. He routinely makes bad decisions. I mean, your adjusted comp to Carson Wentz isn't far off when you're talking. Like, if I were to describe that, he's prone to interceptions, holds the ball way too long, takes sacks, routinely makes bad decisions. You could say that about
a really good athlete.
You could say that about Carson Wentz, but again, he has great traits. He has a powerful arm. He has great size. He has great athleticism. He has great toughness. Then, you're talking about all that. You're thinking about Josh Allen. Like you kind of like you went from Carson Wentz to Josh Allen within like the same breath because of the bad versus the good. So it's like, it's kind of all over the map with what you think you're going to get versus what you actually get. But I think he's going to potentially be a top pick for a certain team that, I mean, he's projected in that first round.
He feels like he's going to the Raiders to me. Like, it feels like a Raiders pick to me.
No, because the Raiders screw up their draft every single year. They're gonna.
Oh, to be clear, I think this would be a bad pick.
Okay, I was gonna say it's like they're taking a chance on maybe a position that
I don't think this would be a good pick for the Raiders.
I could see the Raiders taking like
I'm not huge on and ironically, Chris, I love upside. I love upside. I will choose upside. And when I made these rankings, I was conflicted because I think there's upside there. And there is upside with Levis. I just don't think he's going to piece it together. I think this is an upside that's going to ultimately not pan out. That's just how I feel.
Okay. Fair enough. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with this. But let's go ahead. Number 3, Anthony Richardson out of
You
Florida.
talk first. I'm gonna do a code yellow.
Yeah, you're gonna get to code yellow. I'm gonna get a wine break here in a minute. I need to get that bottle cracked. Well, or twisted or corked or whatever. Did I make a verb out of cork? Corked. Anyways, I
I
digress.
think corked is a thing.
Corked. It's got corked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, we have a bad quarterback here.
Oh, bad quarterback. Let's pop some bottles. Let's go, Ty. Maybe that's the way I should say it. You know, I don't think I've ever heard anyone refer to popping a wine bottle or like opening wine as popping bottles, but I like where you're going, Ty. I like it. I think that's where it should be, you know? I think that's you're onto something. All right. So Anthony Richardson, quarterback, Florida, 6'4", 244, 4'4", 340. And we have a player comp to Cam Newton. Cam Newton here is what Scotty has. By the way, these are Scotty's rankings because he's definitely way ingrained in everything when it comes to the NFL draft. So here we go. Richardson, who's kind of got a lot of hype. He's got a lot of hype coming into this. You know, at the combine, he put together an electric workout, fast 40, showed off his arm. You know, he was everything that everyone wanted to see at the combine. You know, played well over the course of the season, but it's weird. He has weird games. As good as he was against like Utah, he was horrible against like a team like Kentucky, right? You know, I just think like, you know, throwing a couple interceptions here and there, especially against, you know, some of these bad teams that might, you know, not be as high a caliber as some of the other teams that they've played. I don't know. He struggled against South Florida. You know, there were some things that, you know, he wasn't able to just get right. But I don't know. I think that there's things that people really see a high ceiling when it comes to Anthony Richardson, and I could see him carving out a nice career. Some sources have said his skill set is so good and dynamic that, you know, it's hard for him to not go past the second round. I think he's going to be you know, the hype around him that he's going to be a decent pick, especially at the top of the draft. Some people were saying that he might drop to maybe the end of the first, second. I don't see that happening, especially with like quarterback starved teams. I think like quarterback, you're always looking to get, you know, a guy, even if he's a backup on your team, you're going to be, you know, stashing away Richardson, even if, you know, you can just get some good value. But I just think that, you know, he has his flashes and he could be a very, very electric quarterback in certain instances. But, you know, I just think he struggles against certain teams that I think that it just gives me a little cause for concern. But I like some of the flashes that he has. Scotty, what are your thoughts on Anthony Richardson and where you think he could go and what you think he could be in the NFL?
Chris,
Never mind. I was going to answer, but go ahead, Scotty.
Chris, he's number 3 on my board, number 1 in my heart.
Number 1 in your heart. Hey,
My man.
I, you know, when I talk about upside, this is who I'm talking about. This is the potentially
high risk, high reward.
The best athlete we've seen at the quarterback position come out ever. Like when you're talking about
Ever.
No, like running the ball, is he Lamar Jackson or Mike Vick speed wise? Oh, those guys. No, but he's way heavier than those guys. He's closer to Cam Newton in that regard, but he runs a 4.43. He can, I mean, his testing is off the charts.
His combine was insane.
Listen, the reason he's at number 3 is we just haven't seen a lot. He's so raw. He hasn't played a ton, even at Florida. We don't know for sure what he can become. But no scout in the world would say, hey, if these quarterbacks that are in this draft, who has the highest potential? every single one of them would say Anthony Richardson, and it's not close. At potential, yeah, we have the player comp Cam Newton. He could be worlds better than Cam Newton. He could be MVP Cam Newton for actual, multiple years, unlike Cam Newton, who had like one good. I mean, Cam Newton was good for a while, but like he had the one great year and then kind of fell off the map.
Well, he's still currently better than 32 quarterbacks.
No, he's not, Chris. He's not. He's not better than 32 of my friends.
And he's not better than Cooper Rush.
No, ban rap.
Was this the 4th or 5th time today?
Yeah. I don't know how you're still here.
Yeah.
Who is in charge?
Get
of banning
out.
rap?
I'm a cockroach, like how Brian Hoyer is a cockroach for the Patriots.
Chris,
I think he's a hybrid between Jamarcus Russell, Cam Newton, and a Justin Fields or Michael Vick. Like
It's a wide
he's
range.
something, but he's a hybrid of them all.
There's a lot to love. And then, Chris, all the reports out of the combine were supposedly all these people the reporters were saying he interviewed better than any other quarterback.
Which
So
we're high on the
that
interview.
lens that there's intellect and IQ there. That he can be a leader, perhaps. I mean, if everyone's saying this, so why isn't he number one? The only reason he's not number one for me, and if I'm drafting number one, I might take him because, listen, I'm not here to take a guy that's going to be pretty good. I'm trying to get great, so I might personally take him number one. The only reason he's not number one is he's played so little at Florida, and there's so little on tape, and he's so raw that like it could go poorly. It could definitely go poorly. I mean,
All right, Scotty, so where you got him going? I got him going number 4.
Oh, he's going top 4.
I got him
Maybe
going
top
4.
3, and maybe 1. He's going if he's at 4 for Indy to take him, Indy's going to take him unless they make a deal. They're rumored on the Lamar deal. But otherwise, if he's at 4 and Bryce Young and CJ Stroud are clearly already taken, I think Indy would take him at 4. But he might go 1.
He could. I don't know what Carolina's thinking, but
roulette.
I wouldn't hate it. I literally wouldn't hate it because if I'm a GM of a team, I'm not trying to be pretty damn good. I'm trying to be great.
Well,
and this guy,
but I think Carolina's trying to win this year. They have a squad.
I'm a GM. I don't.
They do have a squad.
I want to win Super Bowls, and this Carolina team isn't winning a Super Bowl regardless of who they draft a quarterback this year.
They could. Yeah,
this year
they could. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
They should have beat Tampa that last week if Mike Evans didn't go crazy, and they got in the playoffs. And
they lost to a Tampa team that was like under 500.
But that was a playoff game. Same with the Packers, but they signed Shark and they signed Thielen.
No,
like Carolina's going for it. They're gonna.
I actually hate the Thielen Shark signings.
I
overpaid for Thielen. He's past his prime. I like Thielen back in the day. He's past his prime. Shark was fine, but it's not gonna move the needle.
If you're asking me the Super Bowl contenders from the NFC, I don't think I would have thought about Carolina in the top like 4 or 5 of my options. Like,
well, who's going to win that NFC South? The Buccaneers? They don't have a quarterback.
But regardless who wins the South, none of those teams are going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Whoever wins the South, no one's going.
They're still going to be there.
They're going to be in the playoffs, maybe.
But yeah, this year's 7-10 team could win the NFC South.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at Buccaneers from last year. They were what?
8-9.
8-9.
10-9, 8-9. They won it. And they beat the Panthers.
They lost and then they went to the playoffs and lost by 1 million to the Cowboys.
And that's even with their kicker forgetting how to kick a football.
Yeah. I'm just saying, you give the Panthers a quarterback, they've upgraded. No one else has the Saints.
Do I think the
I mean, Derek Carr
here-
gonna make
here's-
that.
The Panthers should draft a guy they think is gonna lead them not this year, but in future years.
Yeah,
Well, they
should
want to
not
go
be
for
concerned
it.
with this year.
I
No, not this year.
What's his name? Ton or whatever, the owner? That guy got billions to spend. He don't care.
They're not. If they took Stroud or Bryce Young, they're not going to be in contention this year. They could not take a quarterback.
Oh, I don't know. Bryce Young with Thielen and Shark.
Look,
I like where they're
Milwaukee
going.
is a night.
Shark's never had a 1,000-yard season, and
I
Thielen's
don't-
over 30. He's past his prime.
And I don't trust any rookie to take a team, especially from that division, all the way to the end to a Super Bowl and win it.
That division, who is their competition in that division?
Well,
The Buccaneers
all
or
right,
the Saints?
We're not arguing.
We're not
whether
arguing the
they might make
division.
the playoffs.
we're
They
not arguing the
cannot win
division.
Super Bowl.
I
They
just don't.
cannot win the Super Bowl next year.
There,
Yeah.
No,
There's a 0% chance the Panthers win the Super Bowl next year, regardless of who they draft at number 1.
I think it's just still a good choice.
they're,
Like the
they're-
Panthers, they
they're
could
built-
make the playoffs, but they're not being the Eagles or the 49ers. No way in hell.
Or the Packers.
yeah, I mean,
Packers
you're,
are making the
The
playoffs.
Super Bowl.
all right, so let me get this chat here. Ty said he's Josh Allen, going to need a team to develop him and let him play terrible for a year or two. Carolina isn't winning playoff games.
Chris, he's more athletic than Josh Allen. Now he has to, and Josh Allen was raw coming out as well. If he can progress throwing the football like Josh Allen, he will be better than Josh Allen because he's better at the other things outside of throwing a football athletically than Josh Allen. And Josh Allen's a freak. I love Josh Allen. Josh Allen's a top 3 quarterback in the league, but this guy, if he can develop throwing the ball like Josh Allen has, he's
dangerous.
got a higher upside than Josh Allen.
Shark is
'Cause
a
he's
nice
big like Josh Allen.
Shark is a nice 3 with number 2 upside. That's about it, says Chairman.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed, Chairman. Obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah. Shark's like a 2.5 at best. If he's your number 2, you're probably not that good of a wide receiver core, honestly. He wasn't even the number 2 in Detroit.
So there goes Anthony Richardson, number 3. Number 2, CJ Stroud, quarterback, Ohio State, the Ohio State. 6'3", 214, 4'7", 40. Then we also have a player comp to Dak Prescott. Not
Recent Dak Prescott.
recent.
So Dak after the leg injury.
Mediocre.
Oh, no, mediocre. Is that what we're saying? CJ Stroud is mediocre,
You know,
Scotty?
If this guy gets drafted and gets all of a sudden Cooper Rush behind him, look out.
Look out. Let's talk about Stroud.
He's polished. He's very efficient. He's not gonna. He hasn't had to develop outside the pocket a lot. He's not a huge runner. Not super athletic. Not had to create a ton of extended plays within the Ohio State system, which I think is a big deal in the NFL now. I think extending plays is a big part of being an elite quarterback in the league. If I'm taking you top 1, 2, 3 in the draft, I want to know that you can. And I'm not saying he can't do it, because he did do it a couple times in that incredible game against Georgia in the semifinals. That was his best game of his life, and he balled out on the biggest stage. So I give him credit for that. He very well, right now, he's the favorite to go number 1 overall to Carolina. I like him. But for him to be great, I feel like you need a really good offensive line in front of you. I think you need to protect him. I don't know if he can extend. I don't know if he can work off the system. Maybe he can, and maybe he'll prove me wrong. That's my problem with him. I think he's probably the most polished and efficient passer of this group of quarterbacks, and he can put it on you in a second, in an instant. But I have concerns if he gets behind a team with a bad offensive line that could wreck him forever.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he put in a great workout at the combine, showing incredible just accuracy and arm talent. He's very good at, precision, ball placement, leading receivers, making receptions, hitting them on the run. He's very good at dropping passes into tight windows, right? He's very good at just everything you would want from a quarterback. I think, yeah, you're right, though. The biggest knock on him is the fact that he can't extend plays. He's not good to using his feet to making plays, as things continue to break down in the pocket or whatever it may be. He's very comfortable making throws from the pocket, but when that's not available to him, he might have some struggles. And so, you're right. It's a fit. If you don't have a good offensive line to give him time, he's not going to be able to be as accurate as he wants to be. But if you do, he could be one of the best quarterbacks in this draft. And that's why I think that, a lot of people are really high on him, is the fact that he can have those anticipate those throws and get them in those tight windows and be accurate. And he's one of the most accurate quarterbacks, if not the most accurate in this whole entire draft. So he keeps his eyes downfield. He's able to keep things going when it comes to just from the pocket making plays. I like a lot of what I see with him, but you're right. I think that it hinges on a little bit of how well he's protected.
Catching up on the chat, Chairman. If I'm drafting, I'm scared to take an OSU Ohio State QB.
I'm gonna go get another class.
I mean, yeah. Hey, by the way, I just in your honor,
let's go.
It was wine night, so I grabbed some wine.
Ty said we're popping bottles right now, so you know.
Yeah.
I'll drink to that.
But Chairman, I agree. It's hard to separate program from player, but as a scout in the NFL, you're taught, like, you have to avoid past results don't equal what this player is. You're told to scout the player, not the team he plays on and the past performance of said quarterbacks or whoever it may be at that position that have either thrived or not thrived at that position. You just have to scout the player, and that's hard. But like literally, it's kind of a ridiculous notion to me. It's like, oh, Ohio State quarterbacks suck, or USC quarterbacks for the longest time, they're garbage. And then one's good, and they're like, I don't know. And listen, Patrick Mahomes, everyone's like, oh, you can't run. He ran a system that's not an NFL system. He can't play in the NFL. Like, and then he proved everyone wrong. Like, there is always an outlier, but the outlier isn't based off of what he's doing. It's based off of, like, it's not based off of who he played for or what he did in college. It's just like he's that talented guy. And he could be at Ohio State. He could be at Texas Tech. He could be at USC. Like, I know, listen, CJ Stroud, when he even got outside the pocket against Georgia, he threw to the wide receiver that would be wide receiver 1 this year in Marvin Harrison Jr. A freak, an absolute freak, like one of the best wide receiver player. He will be in the draft next year, and he'll be a top 5 pick. I'd be shocked if he wasn't. Best wide receiver we've seen in a while. But that doesn't mean CJ Stroud can't be. I mean, CJ Stroud was highly touted coming into Ohio State, obviously played well there. It's going to be interesting to see when, like, things break down what he can do, because we haven't fully seen that. What else? Roulettes. Do you think teams undervalue or overvalue QB height? I mean, it obviously depends on the team. I'm not. Listen, I would prefer, obviously, a quarterback over, like, I don't know, maybe 6'1" or above. I think that's pretty low threshold. But that doesn't mean smaller quarterbacks can't succeed. I think the ones that have been drafted high recently were bad picks, not based off their height, but based off their mental aptitude as well as their just ability in general to throw a football. So I'm not. I think it's not imperative. You can have a shorter quarterback and still be successful. I mean, Russell Wilson obviously won some for a while. Is he trash now, Chris?
Stop.
Yes.
Stop.
Obviously.
Why are we doing this? Why are
I
we
just
doing
wanted
this?
to for
Yeah,
fun.
I knew it
But,
was coming. Speaking of,
but there was a point in time where he was good. G Girl Stroud looks great. Young is so small. For sure. For sure.
Speaking of Bryce Young, 5'10", quarterback out of Alabama, 204 pounds, 4'5", 40, and you have the player comp to Russell Wilson.
I do.
Like little guy.
Everyone wants to comp him. The problem is every comp you see out there is to Kyler Murray, and I'm like, no, fuck that. Don't.
No.
He's so much better than Kyler Murray.
Oh,
He's
Kyler
like
Murray.
a young Russ back when he was good.
Johnny Football Baker. This man is too damn small. LOL, says G Girl. Russell Wilson, the guy who gifted my team some draft picks.
Hey, he also gifted your team a Super Bowl. Well, your defense did, but
True.
He was your quarterback.
True.
It's hard. It's hard to find good comps for Bryce Young because he's small. So you gotta get to that point. And everyone wants to compare him to Kyler Murray, and I don't think he's Kyler Murray. I think he's better. I definitely think he's better than Kyler Murray.
I have faith Bryce Young studies the playbook and doesn't focus all his time on double XP Call of Duty weekend. Yeah, probably. I mean, you got to take advantage of those double XP weekends, man. I'm just saying, it's a big part of the game. But let's go ahead. Let's talk about, because we got all the edge rushers we got to get to, and we have it coming in hot. So let's get through Bryce Young, and let's breeze through some edge rushers that we want to talk about.
Yeah, we'll breeze through those.
But Bryce Young, here we go. He's by some, top 5. He's definitely a top 5 pick. By some people, he's a number 1 overall. Some people think that maybe some of the other guys that we've already talked about might be a little bit better. Scotty, do you think Bryce Young is the best quarterback in this draft?
Outside of Anthony Richardson's upside, I think Bryce Young is the best pick. Listen, if Bryce Young was 3 inches taller, it'd be a no-brainer. He's the number 1 pick in this draft. The only knock, and it's a knock, it's fair, is his size. Obviously, 5'10", 204 pounds. That's very, very small for a quarterback. But this dude was the number 1 dual threat quarterback out of his class when he went to Alabama, and he did not disappoint at Alabama. What I love more than CJ Stroud and why he's above CJ Stroud is like he extends plays. He has a knack. He's instinctual. He, in that sense of extending plays, and I'm careful when I say this, everyone. Careful when I say this because this carries a lot of weight, but only in the sense of like extending plays and awareness in the pocket and like doing things in that nature. At times, he reminds me of the GOAT, Patrick Mahomes.
Oh,
doing that.
Here we go.
Now, because Patrick Mahomes is not an elite athlete speed-wise, right? Like, and we're not going to confuse that with Bryce Young. He's not a crazy athlete, but he's so good in awareness. He's great at extending plays. He's great with accuracy. His arm strength isn't elite, but it's good enough. I think. Listen, we've seen Kyler Murray, we've seen Baker Mayfield go number 1. I think this guy's better than both those guys. That's pretty easy to say. Is his upside top 5 QB in the league? Not in my opinion. No. His upside's more like top 10 in this league, and that's okay. That's okay. Even if you're taking him number 1, that's okay. There's a lot to like about him. The size is concerning. Does he hold up through all that? But everything else is literally a green light. Like, he's good at everything. The arm strength is average, and the deep throw is average, but everything else is like above average outside of his height and weight.
Yeah, I think like, from his standpoint, he's got, some flashes of athleticism here and there. Not as much as Anthony Richardson, but he's got some that he can flash. He's got same thing with CJ Stroud, the accuracy that we just talked about. Very good in the pocket. He's not as maybe potentially accurate. He has his flashes and he can extend plays and make tight throws in tight coverages. He could do a little bit of that, but is he as good, from a pure accuracy and throwing the ball from the pocket standpoint as CJ Stroud? Maybe not, but he's pretty much right there. So, I mean, he's got some of the characteristics of both the top passer and the most athletic player, but he has the intelligence factor. I think that's a big aspect as well. He interviewed well. He didn't do the combine. He didn't participate and work out at the combine, but he interviewed very, very well, from what a lot of sources said. He's very intelligent. His instincts, his feel of the game, and he can have a lot of like knowledge at the line of scrimmage, check down options. Working, a lot at the line of scrimmage. So I think he has a lot of the qualities from each of the both players that we saw in these last two, in number 2, number 3. Maybe not as elite as those two in those specific categories, but he's very good in them. And he adds some intelligence factor that maybe those guys maybe lack. So, and size. So it's interesting, but I kind of like what he can bring to any particular team that takes him even in the top 1 or 2.